On today's show, Cade Cunningham's game winner hands the Heat their ninth straight loss. The shorthanded Kings lighting the beam against the Cavaliers, and trap games across the board as the Wolves, Knicks, and Grizzlies all losing to teams not even in the playoff picture, and so much more. Coming up right here at Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And joining me is my partner in crime, David Ramil, host of Locked On Heat. David, aside from the Miami Heat's ninth straight loss, what did you see in the NBA last night?
Well, if you ever wondered whether or not anything could happen during an NBA game, tonight's slate certainly showed that with all those trap games that you mentioned earlier. A lot of fun basketball. Can't wait to talk about it.
11 game slate for us to talk about on today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen every single day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. And Pistons Heat is our game of the night. That's where we're going first. We're going to tune into Locked On Pistons for more on this one.
Cade Cunningham with the game winner on ESPN against the Miami Heat. On national television. On national television. You hear me? On national television. Let's go, bro. Let's go. Triple-double. They get this game flexed to ESPN. Shaq, let me ask you something, bro. Is that boring? Are the Pistons boring? They only lead the league in dunks. They have the most fast break points in the league. But yeah, I guess that was all boring still. Was that boring for you? Was that boring? Was that game winner from Cade? Was that boring? Getting flexed to ESPN? Playing a fun game, an exciting game, playing fast, having a franchise player on the rise, hit a game winner over a fantastic defender in Bam Adebayo. Was all of that, was that boring too? Was that boring? With the triple-double? Was that boring too? Was Asar Thompson driving the lane, finishing over guys? Is that boring? JD out-muscling, Bam Adebayo on the glass, dunking over him? Was that boring? Was all of that boring? Pistons ain't boring. This is a good, fun team. Cade Cunningham, bro, that's his moment. Let's go.
I love a good vindicated Kuka Hill from over at Locked On Pistons, banging the camera as he's doing his now. Love the energy from him. Cade was sensational in this game. 25 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, of course, hitting the game winner. He did say after the fact, a reporter was asking him, did you call bank on that? And he says, I might have whispered it, but I don't think anybody heard it. And then to me, though, David, I really thought Jalen Duren was the difference maker in this game for the Pistons. 15 points, 11 rebounds, 5 of those coming on the offensive glass. He was a terror down low, finished a team best plus 17 for Detroit in this one.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Like Cunningham certainly had the highlight of the game, not just with a triple-double, but also the game winner, as Koo mentioned. And there's a lot of frustration that he's working through there after years of covering the Pistons. I can understand where he's coming from. I'm on the other side of it now watching this Heat team play. But yeah, Duren was sensational. Like he was really out-muscling Bam Adebayo, who I think is just at a point, he had a monster game offensively, but it seems like this losing streak has taxed him to such a huge degree, and he was just incapable of trying to do everything the way he has. Without Jimmy Butler on this roster and with such a poor lineup around him, it's clear that Bam is being outworked here and just overtaxed. And there was a couple of series there where you could see the frustration mounting for Adebayo, and Duren, to his credit, capitalized on that completely. He was a monster. They out-rebounded the Heat completely throughout this game, creating those second-chance opportunities. A lot of points in the paint for the Pistons, too. They were phenomenal. Give them credit, but Miami just doesn't know how to win at this point.
I mean, and look, it looked like the Heat were on their way to winning this game, right? Tyler Herro had some big buckets late in this one, and it kind of felt like it was going to happen, and then just things came off the rails, and again, 9 straight losses for Miami. It's kind of it's just a brutal stretch right now for Miami basketball. They're not in danger of falling out of the play-in tournament, though, right?
I don't. I think with a minor miracle. I mean, their schedule is tough. I don't know that they'll win 5 out of the next 15 games, but I think the Toronto Raptors will be just bad enough so that they never have to worry about climbing past them in the standings. So we'll see how it goes. Right now, they've got a sizable lead over Toronto, but I wouldn't have guessed that they would drop 9 straight either. They just find a way to steal a defeat from the jaws of victory. They collapse completely. They're league leading 12th blown fourth quarter lead. They were up by double digits. They looked like they were, as you said, cruising for most of the game. And then Detroit just found a way to come back, and Miami's offense just completely falls apart. They just don't have that engine. They don't have that star player. Despite the fact that Hero was an all-star, he had a really good night. That Bam is an all-star, and he had a really good night. They just don't seem to have that real engine to drive this team, and they don't know how to figure things out. Right now, it seems with every loss, they just collapse more and more. And they were without Andrew Wiggins, so maybe that's something. But if your season's hopes are hinging on Andrew Wiggins, I think that kind of shows where you are as a team right now. Wiggins was never supposed to be anything more than a complimentary player to allow Hero and Bam to take that next leap. Neither of them have done that, as you can tell by the 9-game losing streak.
Don't worry. We're going to take, pun fully intended, we're going to take the heat off of Miami here in a moment when we talk about the Wolves. But before we do that, we're going to talk about our next game here. The Sacramento Kings lighting the beam against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Go out to Locked On Cavs for more on this one.
Cade Cunningham here after the Cleveland Cavaliers fall to the Sacramento Kings 123-119. They dropped their third straight game for just the second time this year. They are 56-13 on the season. The sky is not falling, but they're not playing good basketball right now. This was a game that the Cavs should have won. When you hold the team to 15 points in the opening quarter, that's a game you should win every time. But the Cavs offensively can't necessarily get to the same level they were at earlier this season. Defensively, they've been pretty inconsistent. And I think all of that was on display on Wednesday night out in Sacramento. I thought that there were some puzzling decisions by Kenny Atkinson late in this game. I thought Dean Wade should have probably closed this game out, who finished as a plus 17 in the time that he was on the floor against Sacramento. I thought he had a great game. And Evan Mobley was the best player on the floor, despite the Cavs losing this game. He finished the night with 31 points, 10 boards. A lot of that came in the second half, but he checked out with about 7 minutes and 45 seconds left to bring in Jarrett Allen, and the Cavs had a lead when that happened. When Mobley came back into the game with around 4:45 left, the Cavs were losing, and at that point, Mobley only got 2 more shot attempts, and they came on the same possession. This was a game where the offense should have been running through Evan Mobley late. It wasn't, and I think it cost the Cavs the game.
I agree with Danny. The sky is more than definitely not falling for Cleveland. Just their second 3-game losing streak of the season. They're going to get things back on track here. But look, I want to give a ton of credit to the Sacramento Kings. They are this they're the perfect, I don't want to say perfect, but they're just a bunch of really good players all stuck together on one team without clearly one best guy or top tier guy, at least especially in this game with no Domantas Sabonis, right? No Sabonis, no Zach LaVine in this game, and they still find a way to get it done. And they did. Their defense, especially down the stretch of this game, was inspired defense to try and shut down the Cavs, to limit them. They had guys scrambling left and right, crashing, falling on the floor. Easily Devin Carter's best game of his young career so far. And then I really thought Trey Lyles in his minutes in this game was so impactful. 13 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, really disruptive on the defensive side of things, and was a plus 10 in his 30 minutes of play.
Yeah, the Kings were phenomenal. I mean, they played a really gutsy game. It was a lot of fun to watch them be able to kind of overcome everything that they have, missing key players, etc. This is a strange season for them, obviously having traded De'Aaron Fox. They missed LaVine now. They missed Domantas Sabonis for the rest of the season. You can't really expect much for this group, but they're gutsy, and they certainly overperformed tonight, and it was evidence there. But to your point earlier, though, I think the story of the game really, at least a lot of people will concentrate on the Kings' 3-game losing streak. But I think these kinds of streaks are necessary because it kind of helps this team out for when they're really going to be challenged. Because they're let's admit it, they've been facing every team's best every night. Every team attacks them like no other because they're the best in the league. And so you have to understand that they're going to be facing these kinds of challenges more often than not. Clearly, they've been overcoming these with a phenomenal record. But a 3-game losing streak, how do you overcome this adversity? How do you right the ship, as you pointed out? I think they'll be fine. But I like this being tested as soon as, as the playoffs get nearer and nearer.
Also, I just want to say DeMar DeRozan still being this effective, this clutch at this stage of his career, watching him just pull up from that, 15 to 18 foot midi range area.
Yes.
He drained one over the outstretched arms of Evan Mobley at one point. It's like, how is he doing this? And he continues to do it. If I had to lay my life on the line for a player to knock down a clutch jumper, in a crunch time situation, I'm picking DeMar DeRozan 10 out of 10 times. He is automatic in the mid range. All right, coming up, the Wolves continue to be the most unclutch team in the NBA. A wild finish to Mavs Pacers, and the Rockets earn their 8th straight win. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%, plus you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk, rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national saving average account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Look, there's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of sneakers on the hardwood, maybe even seeing a celebrity sitting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and only shows you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of different ticketing offers. I've used Game Time all season long to buy Rockets tickets. It's awesome. Their super deals are great. The picks even highlight which games will give you the most bang for your buck, right? You want to make sure you are getting everything out of going in person for an in-game experience. You get peace of mind, view your seats before you buy, no surprise fees, and a lowest price guarantee. So take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. And continuing on here at Locked On NBA Game Night, we appreciate you for making Game Night your first listen each and every day. For your next listen, go check out Locked On Heat with David. Swing by Locked On Rockets with me. Go find the Locked On Show for your favorite team. But let's go out to our next game, where the Timberwolves somehow found a way to lose to the New Orleans Pelicans. Let's throw it out to Locked On Pels for more.
Pelicans shock the Timberwolves as Zion Williamson dominates. I'm Jake Madison, host of Locked On Pelicans. Look, there are plenty of reasons not to pay attention to the Pels. A 19-51 record will do that. But one reason you should be paying attention is a big one: Zion Williamson. Since returning from injury earlier this season, he's been playing exceptional basketball, and he did just that in the Pels' 119-115 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. 29 points on 12 of 16 shooting, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. What was notable in this game is he did that against the Timberwolves' very good defense and Rudy Gobert, who had no answer for Zion whatsoever. And particularly in this game, you saw Zion looking for contact, trying to draw fouls, and getting to the line. He got there 9 times in this one. Yeah, the Pelican season's totally over, but Zion remains pretty fun to watch.
David, this Wolves team is without a doubt the most unclutched team in the entire NBA. I don't know how, and what's weird is they know how to get up for big games against good opponents, but they can also lose against any team in the association on any given night. Right now, they lead the NBA most clutch teams of any team so far at 43 games played, clutch time minutes. They're 18-25 in those games. They have the 7th worst offense in crunch time. They're middle of the pack, 18th in defense, but their inability to execute at the end of games is just mind-boggling. Their offense completely dries up. It looks like they don't know how to run effective sets or do anything. And then even just the execution of certain things, like they gave up after giving up an offensive rebound to CJ McCollum in this one. They just let Zion get to the rim for 2. Like, at what point do you not realize, hey, maybe we should foul and put a poor free throw shooter at the line instead of giving up an easy 2 at the rim?
Yeah, it's a little confounding, but I mean, I think you look at one Julius Randle, not ever known for his overall efficiency, and then the kind of the offense just boils down to whether or not Anthony Edwards is able to hit those shots. Other than that, who are you looking to in clutch situations? You're not going to Gobert. You're not looking to Dane McDaniels. There's no really option there in terms of saving the offense, but defensively, those concerns are valid. I mean, they were picked apart by Williamson tonight. He looked phenomenal and was able to just pick his spots pretty easily. The way he builds momentum, Gobert just doesn't have a match. He's not able to match that athleticism and that power. Obviously, he's a great shot blocker, a hell of a defender. But when you face a player like Williamson, that's a completely different animal. And that was evident tonight. Obviously, they were just outclassed in the fourth quarter. Just their sixth road win all season for New Orleans, too. I wasn't aware that's how bad things have been in New Orleans. Obviously, if you hear Jake enough, you know that things are pretty rough, and obviously the season's over, but still a great win for them today.
It's the first time we've heard Jake, at least on our show on the Wednesday night slate, in a long time, because he just, for a while in the season, he just kept submitting nows where he was just like, yep, Pelicans are hurt. Pelicans are hurt. They lost again. Pelicans are hurt. I'm glad Jake gets to talk about a win in this one, and I'm glad he gets to still have fun watching Zion Williamson dominate on the court, because look, a healthy Zion is highly entertaining basketball when he's healthy and out there playing at the level that he's been playing at this season. Let's go to our next game, where there was a wild finish, a roller coaster game between the Dallas Mavericks and the Indiana Pacers. Let's go out to Locked On Pacers for more.
Tony East here with Locked On Pacers, standing on the spot where Andrew Nembhard, heroics, once again a left slot three to give the Pacers a late lead as they pull off a miraculous final minute to beat the Mavericks. Pacers down 7 with 60 seconds to go. They're down 11 in the fourth quarter. They really tripped all over themselves. They're up 16 in the first half. Were terrible on defense for much of the rest of the game, but a literally perfect final minute in terms of Mavs errors and Pacers makes gets the Pacers a win that they feel like they should have had the whole time. It was tougher than it needed to be for the Pacers, who now have 3 crazy threes to take leads in the final minute in about a week. They've been squeaking by, and they get this one once again. Benedict Mathurin, terrific in the fourth quarter. 16 of his 23 points in that period, a bunch of them in the final 6 minutes. Pascal Siakam returns with 29 points. Pacers win 2 in a row without Tyrese Haliburton as they keep the 4th spot in the Eastern Conference. We'll have much more from a big win on Locked On Pacers.
David, Andrew Nembhard went from like potential 0 to hero in this game because he was at the free throw line at the charity stripe and he missed a free throw. And the Pacers needed every point that they could get their hands on. And when he missed that free throw, I thought to myself, oh, okay, well, here it is. Like that, they really needed that, and him missing that is going to be kind of, the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And then literally like the next possession down, he gets a chance to sink that 3-pointer and put the Pacers back out in front. Not to mention their defense, the fact that they were able to force multiple late game turnovers and again crucial mistakes by the Dallas Mavericks. It may be a very elite stealth tanking job by the Dallas Mavericks here, but Pacers were up 16 at half, and then the Mavericks stormed back in the second half, leading by 11 at one point, like Tony mentioned. This was just an insane game.
Yeah, really interesting there. I thought it was a little bit of hubris on Indiana's part, resting Halliburton, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, you're resting them. Then all of a sudden you see them, build that lead, and then, of course, they lose it, and it's like, this kind of comes back to bite you a little bit. But you know what? An interesting game there, certainly a fun game. Nembhard with a late game heroics. Siakam with a big steal and 29 points to go alongside. So he was phenomenal tonight. Just a very interesting matchup there, but I don't know if it's a stealth tanking job at this point from the Mavericks. Obviously, they're without Anthony Davis. They're missing a bunch of players due to injury. It's a lost season for them. I mean, why not just throw in the towel at this point? There's really nothing for them to play in, although they're hanging into the 10th seed currently in the Western Conference standings.
Don't worry, the Suns and Blazers are fast approaching Dallas for that 10th seed. Let's get out to our next game here really quickly. The Houston Rockets getting the 116-108 win against the Orlando Magic. Quietly, now the longest active win streak in the NBA, 8 straight wins for the Rockets. They had a 6-game homestand where they beat up on a lot of lesser competition, really stacking up wins to give themselves some cushion in the brutally stacked Western Conference playoff race, sitting at second behind the OKC Thunder. And look, when these two teams play, two of the best defenses in the NBA and also two of the worst offenses in the NBA, it's a rock fight. It's ugly, it's not fun, and it's not pretty basketball for large stretches of this game. Rockets used a 12-0 run in the third quarter to kind of pull away from this one. They went up 80-65. They kind of held on to that lead for most of the rest of the way, just kind of trading buckets with Orlando, even though their offense did kind of come alive in that fourth quarter where they posted 36 points. But Orlando's offense is literally just all Paolo Banchero, and it's really sad to see. Banchero was phenomenal in this game. 31 points, 10 of 21 shooting, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. But the Rockets deploy this zone defense that they've been using a lot. They've been using these double big lineups with Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün out there, and in conjunction with their jumbo-sized wings like Tari Eason and Jabari Smith Jr., and it gave the Orlando Magic fits. They had no answer for it offensively. Their offense is literally just Paolo Banchero or bust at this point.
Yeah, kind of reminded me of all those fans kind of complaining about today's NBA and too much three-point shooting. Well, guess what? You're not going to get much of that watching these two teams face each other. Obviously, the Rockets only 32%, the Magic even worse at 26%. Not a lot of great shooters out there, and a lot of mid-range jumpers, a lot of even-keeled offense, good defense between both teams. It's a fun matchup. It's just not typical of what you see on a night-to-night basis around the league, especially with the lack of shooting from both teams. But to our point, I think the Magic just struggle offensively. They just couldn't get anything going. Franz Wagner was solid in tonight's matchup. Banchero, as you said, was great, but Kentavious Caldwell-Pope struggled too. They're just not getting any kind of steady offense from anybody else other than those two players. So it's a really tough, to see these two teams face each other. But it was an interesting win for the Rockets, who again created cushion in the Western Conference standings.
And after the game, a reporter asked Tari Eason about the Rockets kind of being doubted because of their youth, and his response was absolute gold.
I hated Jesus. Everybody's got something to say, bro. Like, everybody's going to say anything.
He's the best interview on the team, hands down, by far. So look, you heard it here first. For all the doubters out there, okay, they hated Jesus as well. Coming up, we have you better learn the name Sandro Mamukelashvili, because he just made NBA history. And who is getting the final spot in the West play-in tournament, the Suns or the Blazers? We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Upwork. Look, scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. You can find the right talent. They've got fast and easy hiring, cost-effective growth. So instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable top-tier freelancers to scale any business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork, UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
And final segment here at Locked On NBA Game Night. We've got 6 more games on our 11-game slate, and here in our final segment, this is where we play shoot, drive, pass. Shoot if you have a take about a game, drive if you want to ask a question about a game, and pass if there's not really much more to add. But the first game we got here for you guys, the trap game slate just continues with the Spurs getting the 120-105 win against the New York Knicks. And in this game, Sandro Mamukelashvili with an NBA historic performance, 34 points on 13 of 14 shooting, 7 of 7 from downtown, hit his one and only free throw to go along with 9 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, and get this, 19 minutes of play. That's an NBA record. Most points scored in under 20 minutes, the record previously held by Jaylen Brown, who did it with 33 points in 19 minutes of run. So, David, with this game, shoot, drive, pass.
Let's shoot on this one. You know what? I'm not concerned about it. Like from the Knicks perspective, I know what the Spurs are doing here. They've got a great performance from Mamo tonight. Aside from that, though, you look at this and you look at what the Knicks are, and I know it could be concerning. A lot of Knicks fans kind of wringing their hands about a performance like this, but understanding that you're missing one of the most clutch players in the game in Jalen Brunson, a guy who's thrived and risen to the challenge and always finds a way to bail his team out. Without him there, it was a gutsy performance on the road. I'm not as concerned about it. I still think the Knicks will be fine.
Let's go out to our next game where the Suns, hey, they've got a win streak. Let's talk about it with Locked On Suns.
Suns get a win, back-to-back wins for the first time since January. That's a little embarrassing to admit. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, but the vibes in here for, if you just forget the rest of the season, has been pretty immaculate. Tonight was led by energy guys, and energy is infectious. Ryan Dunn, Oso, and Cody Martin in this game. All infectious, play with energy guys. And that is exactly what the Suns needed. It almost makes you think, like, what if they were doing these types of things early on in the season? Would it change some things? I don't know in particular. But this last second half was really led by a Suns scoring bonanza, led by Devin Booker. The Phoenix Suns get back-to-back wins, as mentioned before, and now start a 10-game stretch where it is a gauntlet of games on their way to the play-in.
Strong words, on their way to the play. And on the Bulls side of things in this one, Vucevic led the way with 24 points. They got 22 from Josh Giddey on 10 of 15 shooting off of the bench. David, shoot, drive, pass.
Interesting that he mentioned those three players as infectious energy when they were all of them a kind of a negative plus minus out in their actual minutes there. I mean, they were led by Booker. That's what carries this team here. But look, we talked about the Kings finding a way to play defense in clutch moments. The Suns kind of the exact opposite of that. Are you more bullish about the Suns or the Kings being able to make any kind of noise once they actually reach the play-in tournament?
I think I like the Kings more. I think the Suns have struggled all season long with any kind of an identity, and that kind of thing is what permeates like this, I don't know, star-laden team with KD, who's probably already mentally checked out, and Beal, who's probably upset with how the team's handled his contract and his situation, trying to trade him constantly. Like there's certain things that kind of damage the fabric of a team, and it feels like everything that's could have gone wrong for this Suns team did, and now they're just kind of trying to pick up and put together the pieces. Everybody knows KD's gone this summer. Suns aren't playing for anything. They might scrap it together and make it to the play-in, but if they do, they're not going anywhere. That's just how I feel about this team at this point. They haven't given me any reason otherwise to think differently. So I'm sorry, Ben. They're not going anywhere, man.
Can't disagree.
Let's go to our next game where the OKC Thunder completely taking care of business against the Philadelphia 76ers. Out to Locked On Thunder for more.
The Oklahoma City Thunder got another win. I'm Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder, and it was a game between these two teams in name only. Both sides not really playing their guys. Chet Holmgren played for the Thunder. That's about all the star power you got in this matchup. But Jay Will stole the show. The Arkansas big man had another triple-double, the second of his career, the second in the last month, and the Thunder got another win against the Sixers team that really anybody was able to beat, and they intend to lose anyway. But still a good win for the Thunder to take care of business, and they've now clinched the division for the second straight time, and they're en route to that number one overall seed out west. But ultimately, it was Jay Will's triple-double, Wiggins' scoring, and Isaiah Joe's shooting that really helped this Thunder team out, as they were shorthanded to steal some rest for their key players.
All right, David, shoot, drive, or pass?
I was going to pass on this one because this is an obvious win over a team that's obviously struggling in Philadelphia. But when you look at this performance tonight and they're missing key players and missing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, first of all, and still such a lopsided victory, as I asked you before we started recording, does this impact Shai's ability to secure the MVP, knowing that the Thunder team are just that good that it doesn't matter whether he's out there or not, they can still find a way to win by such a lopsided margin?
I don't think so. This is just a bad Philly team. Now, look, if this had been a very good team, right? If this had been Thunder resting SGA and they didn't have J-Dub and they go out and they beat like an opposing playoff team, fine. Maybe you could talk me into that being a sticking point or a talking point that some talking heads might use against SGA in the MVP campaign, but not this one, not against the 70s. However, the 76ers, when they played the Rockets the other night and Quentin Grimes looked like the reincarnation of Michael Jordan, that was something else. So, and they did not get that version of the 76ers in this game. So no, miss me with that. That's not even, I will not subscribe to that notion whatsoever. Let's get out to our next game here. The Lakers handling business against the Denver Nuggets with no Jamal Murray, no Nikola Jokic. So go out to Locked On Lakers for more.
Nick Himenetsky, co-host of Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers get a 120-108 win over the Denver Nuggets, a game not really as close as the score would indicate, and one that the Lakers led wire to wire at one point by 30 points. No Nikola Jokic or Jamal Murray, which created an opportunity for the Lakers without LeBron James and Rui Hachimura, and they cashed in Luka Doncic, 21 points in the first quarter, part of a 46-point first quarter for the Lakers, the most they've scored in any quarter this season. That combined with 22 points from Austin Reeves, 4 other Lakers in double figures, and 13 total steals laid the foundation for a game that had more than enough to secure a Lakers victory.
Denver kind of tried to make this a game just before halftime. They went on a little 12-0 run to kind of, 18-4 run to close the half, actually. So only a 14-point deficit going into halftime. But then Lakers just, took things over in that third quarter. What you got for me, David? Shoot, drive, pass.
I'm going to shoot on this one. And, while they struggled at first trying to make up for the loss of LeBron James, I think this has actually been beneficial for the Lakers. Not a particularly hot take by my part here, but I think allowing Luka to kind of find his way, get his footing, make this his team, and kind of establish himself as the singular star that he is has been very, very helpful for Los Angeles's playoff hopes, because I think you saw it tonight. Like, maybe it was just a dominant performance and clearly the best one from him over the course of the season, but it feels more like it's a role that he's increasingly becoming more comfortable with as he takes over this team and learns how to thrive even alongside LeBron James once he does return to action later this season.
Let's go to my currently favorite non-Rockets team in the NBA, the Blazers. Our final trap game of the night, getting the win over the Grizzlies.
I told you, a plucky upstart from the Pacific Northwest just beat a winning team for the first time in 6 weeks. And it's just 2 games out of the play-in. Do you believe in 10th seed magic? I'm Mike Richmond, host of Locked On Blazers. And for the first time since February 4th, the Blazers beat a team with a winning record. And they handled them. They beat the snot out of the Grizzlies. Denny Avdia, 31 points, 16 boards, 8 assists, and the Blazers cruise 115-99. They've been handling bad teams, taking care of business against also Rans and teams below 500. But tonight, for the first time in 6 weeks, they play a good team, and they just beat them. And that's what they're doing. They're heading to the play-in. The postseason is upon us. Watch out, Phoenix. Watch out, Dallas, because here come the Trailblazers.
So there's only one 10th spot in the West, David, and it's going to either the Blazers or the Suns, and both of our hosts feel very confidently in that fact. What you got for me on this game? Shoot, drive, or pass?
Go ahead and shoot and say the Blazers will not make the play-in tournament. They've got some tough tests up ahead against Denver, against Boston, and Cleveland, who by then will right the ship. And then they go on a 5-game road trip against Sacramento, New York, Atlanta, Toronto, and Chicago. Well, those teams are a little easier to beat, and I know that the Blazers and Mike are a little optimistic about their chances. I'm not so optimistic. I don't think they're going to pull it off, especially when they close the season against Golden State and Los Angeles too. So it was fun while it lasted, so enjoy it while you can.
Man, why you got to rain on our parade like that? Me and Mike, we believe in 10th seed magic, okay, David? How dare you? Had the audacity of a guy who's riding a 9-game losing streak. No, anyways, sorry, I had to take a pot shot at the end here. We got one more game for you. And as promised, so the Jazz getting the win, 128-112 in the battle of the tank-offs between two 15-win teams going into this one. The Jazz now have 16 wins. And as promised on our last week episode, whenever two tanking teams get together, from now on what we're doing is we're doing a lottery spin. That's our fourth option here. Instead of shoot, drive, pass, we're adding tank as a fourth option or spin as a fourth option. So David, who do you think's getting Cooper Flag in this one?
I'm going to stick with the Wizards. I think they've got as good a chance as anybody.
And it's still Washington. Washington keeps the number 1 overall pick. The Jazz fall all the way down to 5th in this one. Chicago jumps up to number 2. Charlotte stays at 3. And Toronto jumps up a few spots to number 4. That is our Tankathon spin, the final spin of the night for two teams clearly trying to capture the flag. But that's going to do it for our edition of Game Night. Thanks so much for being here with us on Locked On NBA Game Night. For your next listen, go find the Locked On Show for your favorite team. Until then, we will catch you guys on our very next Game Night.